I have to be honest, I usually really enjoy our prep sessions. We grab coffee, we look at some tech specs, maybe parse a quarterly earnings report.
Right, the usual stuff.
Yeah, but the stack of documents you dropped on my desk for this deep dive, I actually had to check if you were pranking me.
I mean, it does feel a bit like a prank, doesn't it? Or maybe a fever dream. But I assure you, and I assure everyone listening, every single page in that stack is real.
It's just so much to process.
It is. The investment prospectus, the civilization transformation roadmap, the corporate registry filings. It is all genuine documentation for a company that is preparing for a NASDAQ IPO.
A NASDAQ IPO. Let's pause on that for a second because we aren't talking about a new chip manufacturer here or a biotech firm.
No, definitely not.
We are talking about a company called MicroCosmic International. And if I'm reading their strategic plan correctly, they are estimating their valuation between 3.5 billion and 5.2 billion US dollars.
Which puts them firmly in unicorn territory. In fact, if they hit the upper end of that range, they'd be larger than a lot of established S&P 500 companies.
Right. But here is where my brain just starts to short circuit. Usually a $5 billion company sells, software or cars, cloud infrastructure.
Tangible things.
Exactly. Microcosmic International seems to be selling the idea that the moon is an artificial spaceship.
That is their core asset, yes. They literally call them truth assets.
Truth assets.
Yeah. The premise is that Microcosmic isn't just a business, it's a platform for the Great Awakening. Their pitch to investors, and this is explicitly stated in the documents you read, is that human history as we know it is completely wrong.
Right. They claim we are actually 200 million years old.
Exactly. And that the moon is a planetary-class divine vessel. And Microcosmic essentially owns the intellectual property rights to this truth.
So I guess today's mission for this deep dive is to figure out what exactly we're looking at. Is this a business? Is it a religion? Or is it just the most elaborate piece of performance art in financial history?
It's a totally valid question.
Because they're asking for billions of dollars based on a story that sounds like it was written by a sci-fi author who had way, way too much caffeine.
I know, but I think if we dismiss it as just crazy, we miss the bigger picture.
Yeah.
For you listening, this is actually a fascinating case study in what economists call narrative economics.
Narrative economics. That's the Robert Shiller concept, right?
Yeah.
The idea that viral stories can drive real-world economic events.
Exactly that. Think about it. Bitcoin is essentially a story about decentralized money. Tesla is a story about a green future. The valuation depends heavily on how many people believe the story.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Microcosmic International is testing the absolute upper limits of that theory. They're betting that if the story is big enough, literally cosmic in scale, the financials will just naturally follow the narrative.
Well, let's dig into that narrative then, because they have a very specific product catalog. They aren't selling widgets. They are selling books and concepts. I saw titles in there like The King of Kings in the post-apocalyptic era.
And prehistoric human Star Wars.
Yes, prehistoric human Star Wars, Yi shoots 9 suns.
Which is based on...
It's a famous Chinese myth, right? The archer who shoots down the extra suns that were scorching the earth.
Right. But in the microcosmic worldview, which again they claim is factual historical truth, that wasn't a myth at all. It was an interstellar war.
And the suns were...
They weren't suns. They were enemy starships.
Okay, so they are taking ancient mythology and reinterpreting it as high-tech ancient warfare, which honestly is a cool premise for a Netflix series.
For sure.
But they are insisting to investors that this is fact.
Explicitly fact. And the centerpiece of this fact is the moon. If you look at the truth asset summary again, notice the specificity they use.
Yeah, I've got it right here. They claim the moon is a planetary-class divine vessel with a diameter of exactly 3,467 kilometers. They are very precise about those dimensions.
Because they're leveraging a very specific slice of fringe culture. There's a long-standing conspiracy theory, mostly found in deep internet forums, that the moon is artificial.
What's the usual argument for that?
The arguments are usually things like, why is the moon exactly the right relative size and distance to eclipse the sun perfectly? Or why does it always face Earth with only one side?
Oh, and they mentioned it rings like a hollow bell. Is that based on anything real?
It's based on a grain of truth, actually. During the Apollo missions, astronauts left seismometers on the lunar surface.
Okay.
When they deliberately crashed modules into the moon to test those sensors, the moon did vibrate or ring. for a surprisingly long time.
Really?
Yeah, NASA says it's because the moon is incredibly dry and rigid,
Yeah.
like a solid piece of stone, so vibrations don't dampen quickly like they do on Earth. But MicroCosmic takes that real data point and says, no, it rings because it's a hollow metal hull.
Wow. So they take a scientific anomaly, wrap it in a sci-fi narrative, and then, and this is the business part, they copyright it.
Exactly.
But why is that worth billions? I mean, you or I could buy a sci-fi book for 20 bucks.
This is where we have to talk about ontological security.
Ontological security. That sounds like a, I don't know, a defense contract term.
It's actually from sociology and philosophy. Ontology is the study of being,
Yep.
of reality. Ontological security is that sense of order and continuity in your life. It's knowing that the sun will rise, that your job exists, that the world basically makes sense.
And MicroCosmic is selling stability.
They're selling the cure for total instability. Because their pitch is that in 2026, humanity is going to face first contact, a massive great awakening.
The realization that we aren't alone.
Right, that the moon is a ship, that human history is a lie.
Basically a total collapse of our current reality.
Exactly. And when that happens, they predict stock markets will crash, religions will crumble, people will be terrified. There will be a massive global identity crisis.
Okay.
MicroCosmic is positioning their IP as the only manual for this new world. They're telling investors, when the panic hits, we own the answer.
That is diabolically clever. They are literally selling insurance against an existential crisis.
It's the ultimate hedge. If the world stays normal, they are a quirky media company selling wild books. If the world goes crazy, they are the most important company on Earth.
But you can't get to a $5 billion valuation on books alone. Investors want tech. They want scalability. And I noticed the prospectus takes a hard left turn from moon spaceships directly into global free energy.
Well, you can't have a civilization-transforming platform without a magic battery, right?
Apparently not. I started reading the technical section, and it felt like I was reading a word salad of physics buzzwords. I mean, they mentioned Nikola Tesla, obviously.
Name-dropping Tesla is basically mandatory in this genre. They cite his 349 theory.
Yeah, and then there's this diagram, the Radin coil. It looks like a donut wrapped in wires in this intricate star pattern, and they keep repeating this number sequence, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5.
Okay, let's unpack that, because it sounds random to us, but it's a very specific thing in vortex mathematics.
Vortex mathematics. Please enlighten me.
So imagine a circle. If you start doubling numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Now 16 is 1 plus 6, which equals 7.
Okay.
Double 16 is 32. 3 plus 2 is 5. If you keep doing this, you get a repeating pattern, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5.
Interesting.
Proponents of vortex math claim this pattern represents a perfect geometric flow of energy that modern science just ignores. They believe this shape, the torus, or the donut shape of the rotating coil, can tap into zero-point energy.
Meaning it pulls energy out of thin air.
Out of the vacuum of space, theoretically, hinting at anti-gravity applications. But MicroCosmic combines this with another concept called quantum resonance electrolysis.
Which involves sound, right?
They claim that by using specific audio frequencies, specifically 528 Hz and 963 Hz, they can vibrate water molecules until they crack apart and release hydrogen.
Wait, 528 hertz, I've seen that on YouTube. If you search for meditation music, you get thousands of videos for the 528 hertz miracle tone.
Precisely. It's known as the love frequency in New Age circles. And 963 Hz is often called the frequency of the gods.
Okay, wow.
So MicroCosmic is taking these spiritual meditative concepts and claiming they have hard industrial applications. They are saying we can use the frequency of the gods to create hydrogen fuel for ocean freighters.
That is a bold pivot, from meditation music to heavy maritime industry. But here's the thing that really confused me about their business model. They don't actually want to build these generators.
No, and that's the Silicon Valley part of the pitch. They explicitly compare themselves to Microsoft. They say their AI algorithm, the one that manages these divine frequencies, is the Windows system of the energy world.
So it's a SaaS play, software as a service.
It is. They want to be the platform, not the manufacturer. They plan to license this algorithm to B2B markets, ocean freighters, island grids, and just sit back and collect the royalties.
It's incredible how they weave standard business jargon like B2B rollout and SaaS model into a pitch about vortex math and love frequencies.
That's the disruptive innovation model they keep bringing up. They explicitly tell investors, do not look at our PE ratio.
The price to earnings ratio.
Right. They say traditional metrics don't apply here. They say, compare us to Tesla, the car company, or compare us to Google.
Speaking of investors, we have to talk about the stock itself because there's a section in the 2025 prospectus that completely stopped me in my tracks. They are offering something called ancient authoritative shares.
This might be the most unique equity offering I've ever seen in my life. According to the document, they are releasing only 3 of these shares globally.
Three, literally the number three, and the price,
10 million new Taiwan dollars per share,
which is
roughly 300,000 US dollars for one single share.
$300,000 for one share in a company that, let's be totally honest here, has no working product yet. Why would anyone pay that?
Well, it comes with a massive perk. Each share comes with warrants for 30 million common shares, a 1-to-1 subscription right. So it's a massive leverage play. But the justification for the price isn't the future revenue, it's the source of the shares.
This is where it gets really wild. The shares supposedly originate from the founding divine holdings of Dharma Air Maitreya and the Purple Star.
The Purple Star, or Ziwei. In Chinese prophecy, the Ziwei saint is a messianic figure predicted to appear in the East. MicroCosmic isn't just saying, our CEO holds these shares.
Right.
They're saying, these shares are divinely held by the savior of mankind, and we're graciously allowing you to buy 3 of them.
It's the ultimate scarcity tactic. You aren't buying equity, you're buying a seat at the right hand of the creator.
And they already have a ticker symbol picked out for their NASDAQ listing in 2026. MIHO, or Truth.
Truth. You really have to admire the branding discipline. If you're going to rewrite all of human history, you might as well grab the ticker symbol Truth.
And after the IPO, they aren't just building software. They want to build a moon theme park.
In the Taiyuan Aerotropolis, right next to the major airport in Taiwan.
It's basically Disneyland for their specific theology, a physical location where people can go and experience the moon civilization. But this brings us to the elephant in the room. We've been treating this as a business pitch. But reading the section on the 3i ATLA's fleet, it feels so much more like a religious movement.
That section stopped me cold. 3i ATLA's fleet. They claim there is an extraterrestrial fleet that has already entered the solar system.
And that MicroCosmic, the registered corporation, has a joint command with them.
The Joint Command of Earth and Moon Interstellar Fleets. I mean, I've seen some inflated job titles on LinkedIn, but Commander of the Interstellar Fleet is definitely a new one.
This is where the narrative shifts from eccentric tech startup to outright cult. They state that in the age of Maitreya, all current religious doctrines will become meaningless. They are proposing a global theocratic order messianism.
Global theocratic order. That sounds intense and frankly a little authoritarian.
It is. They are positioning their creator Dafa not as a new religion, but as the absolute replacement for all religions. It's a total consolidation of spiritual authority run through a corporate entity.
It's worldview as brand taken to the absolute extreme. They want to control the history with the books, the energy with the hydrogen, the finance with the stock, and the spirituality with the fleet. It's vertical integration of the human soul.
That's a really brilliant way to put it. But let's step back to the real world for a second. We have these galactic claims. What does the actual government of Taiwan have to say about this company?
Right, because to list on the NASDAQ, you need to be a real legally recognized entity.
Well, we looked up the company registration inquiry system. MicroCosmic International Culture Creative Limited is a registered company.
Okay, so they do exist.
They exist, they're registered in Taiwan, but the paid-in capital is 2.1 million new Taiwan dollars.
What is that, like 65,000 US dollars?
Give or take, yeah. So on paper, legally, they are a very small SME, a small and medium-sized enterprise. But their valuation claim in the prospectus is 5.2 billion US dollars.
That is a discrepancy of astronomical proportions. Literally astronomical. How do they bridge that gap? How do you go from 65 grand in the bank to a $5 billion valuation without a working product?
You pivot to the latest financial trend, RWA, real-world assets.
I've been hearing a lot about this. Tokenization.
Exactly. The financial world is buzzing about RWA right now. Tokenizing real estate, bonds, gold on the blockchain. Even the Taiwan Financial Supervisory Commission, the FSC, has a group studying it. MicroCosmic is jumping right on this legitimate wave.
They mentioned an ARK token in the files.
Yes. They're proposing to tokenize their truth assets. They argue that if their narrative is the foundation of the new human civilization, then the intellectual property rights to that narrative are the most valuable assets on Earth. They want to issue civilization bonds.
So they are trying to financialize belief. If enough people believe the moon is a spaceship, and that MicroCosmic owns the manual to it, then the crypto token representing that manual suddenly has massive value.
It's an attempt to legitimize the narrative through financial engineering. If they can get listed on a crypto exchange or issue a token, they bypass the traditional auditors who would ask to see things like revenue or a PE ratio. They just create a market of believers.
It's fascinating because it perfectly mirrors how meme stocks or certain cryptocurrencies work. Value is entirely community-driven. If the community is strong enough, the fundamental financials don't matter as much.
And remember who their target audience is. They aren't just looking for retail investors on Reddit. They are pitching to sovereign wealth funds and deep tech funds. They are telling these massive pools of capital, you're betting on AI and microchips. We are betting on the total restructuring of reality itself. Do you want to hedge your bets?
It's the ultimate FOMO, fear of missing out on the new universe.
Precisely. And they couch it in this incredibly urgent language. They say, this is not an investment in a company. It is a stake in the future memory of humanity.
That line really stuck with me. Future memory of humanity. It implies that if you don't buy in now, you get written out of history.
It's a very high-pressure sales tactic disguised as spiritual salvation. They are verticalizing everything: metaphysics, history, energy, finance, entertainment. They want MicroCosmic to be the operating system for the post-2026 world.
And the ticker symbol MICO will be the index for that world. You know, we started this deep dive looking at a pitch deck that seemed completely insane, and maybe it is, but you really have to admire the sheer coherence of it. It's not just a bunch of random crazy ideas thrown together. It's a fully integrated system.
That's exactly what makes it such a compelling case study. In an era of information chaos, people are desperate for a grand narrative that explains everything. Why are politics messy? Why is the economy weird? Why do we feel so alone? MicroCosmic steps in and says, here is the answer. It's the moon. It's the aliens. It's the frequencies. And we can fix it all for you for 10 million NT dollars a share.
It's a premium product for existential dread.
That is exactly what it is.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? I doubt many of us are going to drop $300,000 on an ancient authoritative share.
Probably not. But I think MicroCosmic is a strong signal. We are going to see more of this. As technology gets weirder, AI, space travel, quantum computing, the line between science and magic, or business and religion, is going to blur heavily. We're going to see more companies pitching total worldviews rather than just discrete products.
The phrase cult brand is taking on a very literal meaning.
Yes. And as investors, or just as citizens navigating the internet, we need to be able to spot the difference between a disruptive innovation and a disruptive mythology. MicroCosmic is betting that in 2026, there won't be a difference anymore.
That is a thought that will definitely keep me up tonight.
I'll leave you with one final thing to consider. The documents end with a question directed at the reader. They ask you to look at the Great Awakening not as a marketing pitch, but as a test.
A test of what?
A test of whether you can recognize the truth. They imply that if you think this is a scam, you're part of the old universe that is about to be swept away. But if you invest, you are proving your spiritual worth. It's a financial transaction framed as a moral and spiritual test.
Which is arguably the most powerful sales hook in the world. Buy this, or you are on the wrong side of history.
Exactly. If belief drives the value, does the objective truth of the claim even matter to the stock price?
Well, whether the 3i ATLAS fleet lands in 2026 or not, MicroCosmic has certainly landed on our radar. It's a blend of high finance and high strangeness that you just don't see every day.
And if they actually do manage to list on NASDAQ, I will be watching that opening bell very, very close.
I think we all will. And hey, to everyone listening, next time you look up at the moon, maybe you'll wonder, is that a crater or a hole plating?
Or a parking spot for the fleet.
Maybe so. Thanks for diving deep with us today into the wild world of MicroCosmic International. It's been a trip.
A cosmic one.
We'll see you on the next deep dive. Until then, keep an open mind, but maybe keep your wallet in the real world for now.
Observe, connect.